Morning everybody, it's John here from John Cook Harmonicas. At the beginning of the year I took a trip to Germany to a music festival, and I bumped into a company from the Czech Republic that were making reeds for accordions, and they were a company called Harmonicas with a K at the end. Anyway, this Czech company showed me some examples. One of the things that they do, which was of interest to me at least, is that when reeds are made conventionally from Hohner, they grind them they grind them this way to tune the reeds, and often we talk about the reeds cracking because there's grind marks where they tune the reed. One of the things that this Czechoslovakian company do is that they grind them this way, which was of interest to me. They said that they make the reeds last longer. Very expensive, these reeds, and they're quite a lot bigger than a harmonica reed. But one of the reeds that they made is a reed called a Dix, and they get it's a very expensive. It's one of their most expensive reeds. And what they do is they get a phenomenal tolerance on the gap. And I asked them, how do you get that gap? Do you burnish them and emboss the slot? And they said what they do is they use a technique, a chisel technique. Now, I was interested with this, so when I came away, I sort of learned what they did through watching them. And when I came back, I experimented for about 3 months. I've been working on it, because this really is a very, very difficult way of embossing reed plates, especially on something as small as a harmonica. It's okay with a large accordion reed, but with a harmonica reed, it's very, very difficult to do. So I'm going to just show you what the process is. Obviously, embossing reed plates is something that you all do. I'm sure you all do it with embossing tools. I also use the Zidel little tool for embossing the tip. But what this Czechoslovakian company do is they use this chisel, and I made this chisel out of tool steel, made various examples of it to get different tip shapes. And what they do is they put this on the end, and they basically hit it with a hammer or a mallet, and it deforms the brass into the slot. Now, one of the things, the advantages of this is that you can shift a lot more of the brass into the slot. If you've done it with a burnishing tool or an embossing tool, you sort of create a burr on there, and it's very, very thin. But with this process, you basically shift half the metal thickness into the gap, and that thickness, they tell me, is one of the reasons for such a responsive reed. So what is the end result? The end result is that the tolerances that you can get from this process are quite significant to that of conventional embossing. And the only way that I found to measure this stuff is to set up a sort of a microscope. And obviously from the pictures here, you can see that the tolerances on the reed with my finger is very, very close to touching. It's not touching, it's so precise I haven't got a feeler gauge to measure it, but it is very, very very close. So it's probably closer than I've ever got to embossing a reed plate. And how do they perform? Well, they I suppose the debate really is how close you need this to be. How close is close enough? The tolerances, when they're that close, the response is fantastic without a doubt. But obviously, when you get that close a tolerance, you're going to be susceptible to all sorts of shifting of the reeds. You're going to be susceptible to temperature, to any tiny ingress in the reed plate itself is going to stop it working. So I suppose we've sort of come a bit too close, really, for comfort on a harmonica that needs to perform day in, day out. That the tolerances can be that close that it can actually hinder the performance of the harmonica. So there are my investigations. Please comment on what you see, and if you have anything to add, please add to it. This is the forum for doing it, and hopefully we can see whether this is a good process or not. Thanks very much.